Hello. How's it going?
Good. How about you?
Can't complain too much. Just like you said, just trying to process all the crazy stuff happening right now, I guess, and then starting school again.
I'm gonna turn on my video, but let's see if maybe is this more light? I feel like I'm like Todd looks great, and I'm like it's like my blurry face, or
Yeah.
or I could move over here. You know, it's having a studio is really hard. I was actually asking Lynn about, I'm like, it's really hard for me to study and work and live, just here. Like, is
Mm-hmm.
there any way I can go to the campus? And technically, we do have access to the computer lab 24/7.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so your Husky car gives you access. Like, you still gotta wear a mask and everything. I mean, doubt anyone's there, but anyway, I think that's gonna make me feel a little bit less insane.
Yeah. Do you live pretty close to campus?
Um, Not super close, but so it's about 3 miles, I would say.
Okay.
And I moved to Lower Queen Anne. The great thing about Seattle, liberal Seattle is the fucking bus sucks. And I used to have to take. Do you know where Seattle Pacific University is?
um, Vaguely, a little bit,
Okay,
I
it's
think.
close to like the Freeman Bridge, but whatever. So it's at the bottom of the hill, and from there on, I have to take a bus that's like the 36. So I had to take two buses for a 3 mile drive in
Oh, wow.
the same city. But now that I live in Lower Queen Anne, if I walk like maybe half a block to, I don't know if you've ever been to Lower Queen Anne, there's this like CVS and there's a bunch of buses coming by. So then I can take like the 32, and then even if it's a longer ride, it's only one ride.
Oh, okay.
Well, I also do have a car, but I do hate parking. But
Yeah.
otherwise, so I don't know, I might, because it's just like, it's also, a neurodivergent brain, or like even non-neurodivergent brains, it's hard to
Mm-hmm.
like be stuck at home and doing this and doing that. I know your place is a little bigger, but you live with more people than me. Not that not that you love them all with all
Yeah.
your heart, but I understand living with people is different.
Mm-hmm.
So um, that's kind of, I don't know. Yeah, yeah. Yesterday, whoa. Okay. I had, yeah. I just, yeah. Like I said, I wrote that thing right now because my brain was about to burst because I still don't really know how to process. Okay. I guess I have one thing. One people that I think we should blame that people don't often talk about,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like mainstream media. I think that they didn't take it seriously enough when everyone was acting like it was a huge joke. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, let's just let him pretend. When the debate happened, only a few people, like Amy Goodman from Democracy Now, she was like, he didn't say, I disavow them. He's like, stand back, uh,
Yep.
stand by. And when he said that, it sunk my heart.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been seen like, for ages to come, but mainstream media was just whatever, either like licking the boots of whatever neo live their whatever neo live darling they have at the fucking time, or fucking Biden's dog or something. It's like a news then
Yeah.
Trump saying this, and then it's like, oh my gosh, how did this happen? Is when Hitler invaded Poland. It's like, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, Hitler, we asked you nicely not to invade Poland.
Why didn't you listen?
We had a deal. We had a gentleman's word.
Yeah. And then, yeah, something that really struck me, and obviously I'm not the only one to make the point, but of how the Capitol Police treated, those people attacking the Capitol compared to just a couple of months back how they treated the Black Lives Matter protesters who, they tear gassed and brutalized in every way they could so Trump could get his little
Yeah.
photo op in front of the church with his Bible when he came out of his, bunker. Just like the juxtaposition from how they treated people fighting for social and racial justice compared to these people trying to institute their little ridiculous coup d'etat for, Supreme Leader Trump.
I wonder if I can do a shared screen. Okay, one day we should. Can you able a shared screen? Because this reminds me, or I'll send you the picture later, or maybe next time we'll figure it out. But do you remember like the coup d'etat in Venezuela, or not Venezuela, and Bolivia, and then
Mm-hmm.
the woman who became the dictator, which by the way, like the New York Times was just like
Yep.
female president in Latin America. I'm like first female dictator in
Mm-hmm.
Latin America. Like that's fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
But when she, and because, so one of the things I love about Evo Morales, and Mass is back, the Socialist Party there,
Yep.
is that he for once gave a voice to indigenous people in Latin
Mm-hmm.
America,
Yep.
which is rare. And, as a Latin American, as an indigenous person, that is just so huge to me. But
Mm-hmm.
when she came to power, there was like genocide, there was human crimes, but then, and because of her obsession with like, Christianity and Bible, and then, them being like, the good Protestants or whatever, she came out with a Bible this big in front of her. And that's what it reminds me of. Is it like, is the bigger the Bible, are you overcompensating for being such a dick? But no, that was like some fucking giant Bible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think what was her name, like Janine Anyez or something.
I let my cat got out, and I think he might be crying outside.
Okay, no worries.
Okay. It was, and I think that was just my guilty conscience, but sorry. So what were you saying?
Oh, I think wasn't her name like Janine Anyez or something? I think
Yeah,
that, yeah, there's Claire.
let's see. Oh, I need to learn more about how the coup totally happened, because it is one of the things that makes me so angry. Like every time I see Elon Musk on like Twitter, I just make sure to like call him out and make fun of him for how much he's just a fucking disgusting piece of shit.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I saw a thing today. I guess he's like the richest person in the world right now, which is, I don't know. Yeah, we shouldn't have, billionaires, and then how people like him and the capitalist class have been able to, increase their wealth astronomically while, tens of millions of people are out of a job, like food insecurity is rising, and then yet we have these people at the top just like, yeah, just continuing to exploit everybody and just get richer and richer.
Oh, okay. So wait. So do you allow me to do a screen?
I
Let me try.
think it should be able to.
I think no. Now give me the option. So
Oh, it
uh,
did? Okay,
yeah. Okay.
cool.
Let's see. Because hey, we're figuring out this Zoom thing as we go.
Yeah.
So by the way, I don't know if you have an iPhone or not, but I just learned that the iPhone also uh fucking screen records.
Oh, really?
Did you know that? Do you have an iPhone?
Yeah, I do. An older one, but yeah.
Okay, it's telling me to quit and reopen. Should I do it, or should we just keep going?
It's up to you. I'm not sure. Hold
All right,
on. Let
let's
me
just quit
see
and
that.
reopen. Okay, I'll be so stay in the meeting, and then I'll come back, and then I'll just do the same click, and then finish
Okay.
back in. Okay, cool.
Sounds cool.
Sorry, sorry.
No worries. Let's see. Sign into that. Meetings. Edit. Wonders of technology. Clearance. Um, don't know where you do that at. It's weird. Very hot in this room. Enable additional data center regions. Settings, maybe? Yes. Oh, I guess I could probably. Oh wait, admit. I'm trying to look in like the settings where to change it, but there's like a lot of stuff.
I thought that
Did it? Maybe it worked.
because it told me I could do it, but then that I just had because I changed my system preferences, but then it
Okay.
told me to like do that. So okay, cool. I think I can do that. So what I'm gonna go is I'm gonna go on Google Chrome. Can,
Okay.
can you can you see
Yep.
it?
I see it.
Okay. Maybe I hope maybe this is not Photoshop, but no, like
Oh, there's the Bible you're talking about.
yeah, look at this. It was disgusting. Oh my god! No, there's even another one. I really hated this woman. I, cause like I said, I'm a feminist, but also like I almost never used the "see you next Tuesday" word, but she definitely got the "see you next Tuesday" word. She was fucking vile, you know.
Yeah. And the US was like propping them up, and people like yeah, Elon Musk were bragging about how they were part of this coup, and we'll make coups happen anywhere. And then yeah, something that kind of what happened yesterday at the Capitol, it made me think about how in a sense it was just kind of our US foreign policy coming home to roost, because the US empire supports all of these coups all over the world, and then we have this little one try to happen in our own like capital, and a lot of the liberals that are clutching their pearls about this support all of those coup attempts around the world. Is like, are they going to change their tune after seeing it happen on US soil? Like, I would hope so, but probably not, unfortunately.
Really not. It's just like yeah, the same people who are still won't abolish prisons even after COVID-19. It's like I'm going fucking crazy, cabin fever. I'm like, can you imagine if that was your life all the time? So wouldn't you
Mm-hmm.
say that's like an unjust punishment that not even a criminal or what not even but like that no human at all, no matter who they are, be subjected to? No? Okay, cool. You still don't think that. But yeah,
Yeah.
like is this weird thing in which I'm like, haha, you guys now get to experience it. It just actually makes me more sad because I have such a hard time processing it. I was talking to my aunt about this and she doesn't really exaggerate and she's like, yeah, I was looking at it and she's like, it reminds me back of the Civil War in El Salvador. I have so many friends that are like from outside the world and we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about it and it was just
Yeah.
it was interesting, but now I wonder, like fine, maybe Americans who have never have to deal with this, I'm kind of worried, like, what is going to be the repercussions for that, for everyone, because
Yep.
this is something that you're not used to. Most of COVID-19 is something that they never been used to, like a pandemic. I've been used to like doing mitigating public health measures because in Latin America like dengue is so prevalent because of mosquitoes and stuff like that, so we wouldn't have any standing water and stuff like that. Polio is still a thing sometimes in these countries, so that's why when people tell me that they're not gonna vaccinate their kid for polio, I'm just like, that's cool, fuck you.
Yeah.
But talking about Elon Musk, actually, we don't have to talk about this now, but I wonder if you know more about this. Do you know the term accelerationist?
Oh, like accelerationist
Yeah.
like theory, like how, yeah, some people would say like it would have been better if like Trump had been reelected again because he's so like nuts. It would make people see how bad stuff is, that we would actually get positive change from that. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, but I think that's so psych ops though, because so I've been doing some research into it, and yeah, it originally comes from Marxist thought, but it's not that you're trying to accelerate it. It's the fact that capitalism is such of this monster that like insistent series creates never-ending, um, like what is like that feedback and loop and like looping and looping, and it's just like exponential worse and worse and worse,
Hmm.
and which makes it accelerate. So it's capitalism in itself that accelerates, it's not the person. But the funny thing is that accelerationism is seen, um it's pretty prominent in the right wing,
Hmm.
and like I feel like this is like people keep talking about it left wing, but they actually write about it because the Christchurch killer,
Yeah.
Ted Musk killer, I need to read his manifesto. I don't always read manifestos for killers, but whatever. And he mentioned like acceleration, and a lot of them is just like, or Charles Manson, killing certain people to like kickstart a race war. And then someone that comes up a lot again with fucking Elon Musk is Peter Thiel. Do you know who he is?
Yeah, wasn't he yeah, some like kind of venture capitalist, blood-sucking
Yeah,
billionaire type. Yeah.
yeah, the one who basically made Gawker go bankrupt
Yeah.
because Hulk Hogan sued them, but he basically financed all of it. Because Gawker outed him, which okay, I say that is incredibly fucked up, but this man is like, and so there's a lot of like, there's almost like this new eugenics going on, like it's called transhumanism, which it's all about futurism, which Elon Musk is really into, and then Peter Thiel is, and I think these are like kind of these tech bros that are right wing, but no one's talking about. I might
Hmm.
make a video if you want to make a joint video about that. We should, because it's because I think that I just think it's like I don't know like CIA propaganda. I just feel like ironically it's being talked a lot about on the left, and I think people are just misinterpreting the idea of acceleration of capitalism, which
Hmm.
just happens to be the case because of how destructive it is, versus doing all these actions to bring acceleration. I mean, like there's revolution. I mean, like revolutionary socialists have always been a thing, but I don't think that's what people mean. Sorry, before I
Yeah.
but yeah, that's something I want to look more into, because and there's this group that kind of, because everyone has to have a cutesy name. It's not the dark intelligent whatever. It's not that Sam Harris type, but people are called like the dark enlightenment. They're called
Uh,
the counter enlightenment, but not in a cool way, because I can be counter enlightenment sometimes too. But these people are like basically almost monarchists. They believe democracies are shit, and they're trying to destroy democracies to put on monarchies. There's all kinds of crazy right wing, you know?
yeah, no, there definitely is. And it yeah, I mean, I understand like the people who were, I don't know, trying to do their insurrection at the Capitol yesterday. Like I understand like the rage that people are feeling right now, and we should be really pissed off, but it's obviously like completely misdirected to like, oh yeah, let's go, yeah, storm the Capitol because we think the election was stolen from him. Is like, really, like that's what you want to make your claim about? Not like, how about getting Medicare for all, or canceling student loan debt, or ending the wars, or UBI, or reparations, or eco-socialist like Green New Deal? Like, okay, yeah, if you're gonna go storm the Capitol and advocate for, things that'll improve the conditions of the working class, and like I'm all for that. But it's like you're doing that for like Trump, who's a billionaire and only cares about himself. And I do think it was really funny. I think somebody made the point during his like inaugural address when Trump was sworn in. He was all talking about like law and order, and then this is what happens like towards the end of his presidency. I thought that kind of juxtaposition was pretty hilarious, actually.
Yeah, no, when I wrote that thing, I wrote that, and the president of Law and Order didn't say anything about this Proud Boys. You
Yeah,
would think so because he's the president of Law and Order. I mean, Law and Order are just a bunch of other white supremacists. I mean, I have I haven't seen a lot of the stuff because I am still having such a hard time. But people are talking about like the cops that are taking selfies
yep.
and with like the right wing,
Mhm.
and it's true, it's infiltrated the military. Like there's so many crimes that happen to the military all the time, especially women, especially fucking women. And but we don't talk about that, and it's crazy. It's crazy. There's all this creepy shit and this like violence that the state gets to do every day, every single day. But I think seeing it so explicitly definitely will affect a lot of people. Um, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I have some sort of irreverency to 9/11, but that's another conversation for another time. Unless this YouTube just gets ratioed to death.
Well,
But
I mean, it's like the 9/11 what in a sense was a huge win for
yeah,
the US government, because they were able to use that to justify taking away people's like civil liberties and their rights, and just completely expanding the surveillance and like security state as a result of that. So it's
I
like,
mean, they're still paying for that. Like everything that happened with Edward Snowden and stuff like that, it was built on that. Librarians pride themselves, and it actually hurts their heart that that your library, every book you ever checked out of the library is like an uttermost secret and stuff like that, but not if the FBI want it, and they fucking hate that.
mhm,
And I think that's the thing, like we can mourn for old people that die that day and still realize that the all the fucked up thing that came afterwards,
yeah,
it was fuck, then we talk about ISIS, but look at this. We created our own ISIS. Like everyone should be calling this a domestic terrorism. Like,
mhm,
I'm like, which UN countries are gonna, give us like refugee status? Like,
yeah,
I'm joking, but I know I'm serious. And also reminds me when we talked about whether lefties should be armed or have more self defense, and I think this is really proof of that. Is we just have to, because as we can see, Democrats, Republicans, the police, they treat them with kid gloves.
yep,
There was way more fucking police violence when they kicked out homeless people in the middle of the winter in the pandemic at Carl Anderson Park.
yeah. Yeah, and I'm not saying like they should have been necessarily more violent towards these protesters. I did see a video of one of the Capitol Police like shooting this woman, like I think it was like in her neck or something. She ended up dying and didn't really seem like necessary. I think the point would be is like the police are just, they pick and choose when they want to be violent, and they shouldn't be violent like
Yeah,
in these circumstances against people who aren't necessarily like armed. But yeah, it
it's
is very very
it,
telling how they
yeah.
responded to these white supremacists, ultranationalist trumpets, or whatever you want to call them, compared to people actually fighting for something of substance, and like the Black Lives Matter movement.
I tried to talk to my dad about it, about how scared I was. He's like, whatever, same mentality as in the summer. I'm like, this is not the same mentality as the summer. And you know what? That's a fucking target. Okay. Even if we care about, okay, that's a target. It's a random target. There's no like a franchise of capitals. And the Black Lives Matter people, it was property destruction that to you seems oh so horrible. And with the Capitol, it was property destruction with intent to kill.
Mm-hmm.
To and so no, it is not anywhere near the same. And I don't even want to. I probably will not keep having a discussion with my father. He's really, 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 really maddening.
Yeah, and it I don't know, I was listening to this live stream by these people last night talking about all this stuff, and um somebody had kind of made the point, like, look at what Trump was able to incite with, all these MAGA folks, and like we don't have anything like that on the left, or any type of movement leader who would be willing to call out people to, let's say,
Oh, we
go.
did, but they pushed them out.
Yeah, and I mean, like, just kind of has me thinking of, like, what if we had somebody on the left, somebody even in an elected position, who is willing to throw a monkey wrench into stuff like Trump is. Maybe we would have, Medicare for all right now, or at least get a vote on it, or something, or canceling student loan
But yeah,
debt, or
yeah, I mean, look at Bernie has no shame to be like, me and Trump are on the same fucking side here. We want $2,000 for people. And it's true because the Democratic Party is also truly abandoned the fucking working class. Like, what do you expect?
Mhm.
It's again this thing. They're like soft and like you don't really know what's going on. And at least, like, for better or for worse, at least the Republican Party will lie to them, will make them have a common enemy, but they'll give them answers. And
Yep.
that's people who are hurt, who are lost, who are not taken care of. That's what they need. That's what they need. So obviously they hold on to it. I mean, people are responsible for all these things, but we can't ignore that. It's because these people are missing an essential thing. These people, whether they believe in COVID or not, they'll still get COVID. Whether they're Republican or not, they
Yeah.
will still, you know, bend up homeless and stuff like that. So these people are not being taken care of as well, and this is why. This I guess this is kind of related, but more of a tidbit is this guy I listened to, Tom Hartman. I think he has his stuff on YouTube, but I think it's mostly a radio show. And he says that part of it too was that the conservatives like right in jumped into like morning conservative radio, and Democrats never try to do that outreach. Democrats never try to like maybe get to know that person in Wisconsin that's driving to her job. You
Hmm.
know, like yeah, like it's it is full sometimes just shut down full of like fucking elites, like saying flyover states where a lot
Yep.
of the industry has been, ignoring the South. I mean, there is in Alabama, which I'm going to link you, there's actually a group unionizing to unionize their Amazon warehouse.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like the South has explosive potential for working class movement. It just does, and they want it. But we just have been poisoned and divided, and these and just by everyone in power. But because these people are hungry, these people are scared, these people don't have education. Like maybe you didn't understand something, maybe you went to school and then finally something makes sense, and maybe you were a kid and you had some racist thought or whatever, but now critical thinking is not there. It's not money for or education or pleasure or art, like in Sweden, like back in the 40s, to prevent kids from getting in trouble. Everyone would be forced, or at least they would get to like have play an instrument that they wanted and lessons for free.
Hmm.
Which here in America, I noticed that most of the people in bands tend to be white dudes because they're the ones who have the money for lessons and the instruments.
Hmm.
And you can see now the music industry flourishing in Sweden. It's just what you put into the country, and all that's put, if anything at all, is greed, and everything else is taken. And just a
Yeah,
lot.
and And I think what we saw happen yesterday at the Capitol will probably only be of a sign of things to come. Because, like you're pointing out, like the Democratic Party's completely abandoned the working class, and a lot of people have realized that, and a lot of those same people ended up voting for Trump because at least he obviously doesn't govern like, you know, a populist, but he can talk like one, like a right-wing one. And how in 2016 he was going after, you know, Hillary on the free trade deals, and how, you know, he's going to bring all the jobs back. He obviously didn't, but yeah, I just think these things are going to continue to happen and escalate. And I don't think the Democratic Party is even capable of making those shifts right now because they're so completely bought and paid for by the corporations, by the capitalist class. Obviously, the same thing goes with the Republican Party, which is even more, you know, regressive, you know, social views. And I just think there needs to be some type of organizing, more institutions built outside of the Democratic Party, because I think that's where social movements go to die. And I mean, even we can maybe talk about like the force the vote stuff if you want, because I kind of find that stuff, you know, really interesting. But
I
like,
don't even know what forced vote was. I know there was some stuff for Medicare for all. I know that Nancy Pelosi was elected, and that's kind of what about it. But I think I definitely agree with you. Not there's actually a concept for it, and there's two. There's plenty, but it's also called like co-opt. So basically, what you do is you co-opt like the Green New Deal, but you just pour water until it's barely even the same thing.
mhm,
Or, like Nike or like shirts that say feminism while they're
made
made
in a
in
sweatshop.
different, yeah. So
Yeah.
it co-opts your movement, and yeah, and again, like, yeah, I feel like it's so difficult because you have faith, you feel maybe even just a little bit of hope, because I'm very, very, very cynical. But sometimes you do feel just a little bit of hope that progressive. But at the end of the day, it feels like sure, it's cliche to say, but it's the fucking truth. Just sold out, sold out.
Yeah.
You
And
can.
like,
Oh, sorry, go on.
oh, somebody, the same kind of live stream I was listening to last night made the point of how, like, you know, liberal has kind of become a negative term. So it's kind of morphed into like progressive, because progressive, like, what does that mean exactly? Like, I don't know. You're either, kind of my opinion, you're either like for socialism or for barbarism, honestly, because there's
Yeah,
obviously there's no reform in capitalism. There's no
yeah.
such thing as like
I'm actually
exploitation free capitalism, or, you know, anything like that.
I'm actually afraid to sometimes talk about how like outrageously of like a fucking communist I am. Like like all the people who are disappointed with the squad, I get it. But I guess for me, because it's been so long that I've actually cared, I'm like, wait, you guys are still putting faith into that? And
Yeah.
like, I don't think that is. I think we can work both, but these two things these two C's, I didn't come up with it, but my brain did tell me about it, and I'm sure I probably heard about it somewhere else. It's like C, coordinate, but never compromise. Coordinate, but never compromise.
Hmm.
It's my thing. And I mean, I think at a local level, it could also be done better. I mean, sure, people have tried to recall her a million fucking times, and sometimes it feels like a lot of it is talk. But I mean, having Kashama Swan,
Yep.
a social alternative, has made a huge, huge fucking difference. So I don't want to be the Russian nihilists. I mean, truly at the bottom of my heart, I'm a revolutionary because I just think that it's because look, these reforms. It's like for 4 years. It's like, let's say we can get medical for all for 4 years. Oh, what if then these old the power switches and then it can just easily be undone? You know, it's
Hmm.
like rooting out everything. but again, but usually my ideas, like I said, are so that I'm willing to like look and work. And I think again, like social workers, like we're like social, we're like band-aids, but we're still band-aids. Like in my opinion and my philosophy, I guess even more core than, a label like socialism is human welfare. So any
Yeah.
sort of human welfare or improvement is good. It's for me. Maybe the abortion that they just passed in Argentina is
Hmm.
like not perfect, but it is a monumental. I still want to cry. I keep telling everyone about it.
Hmm.
So, but that's kind of, I don't know. What about you? How do you feel? Sorry.
Um, yeah, I mean, I haven't had a whole lot of faith in like the squad or other so-called like other House members that are in the Progressive Caucus or whatnot, just because like it was very revealing when the U.S. was trying to support that puppet Juan Guaido in Venezuela and trying to overthrow the Maduro government there, and somebody asked AOC on Capitol Hill, so what are your thoughts on the regime change that the U.S. is trying to enact in Venezuela? And she's like, oh, I'm gonna de- I'm gonna defer to party leadership on that. And like, if you're not an anti-imperialist, like, don't even call yourself a democratic socialist. Like that's,
Yeah.
I don't know, that was enough for me. Like,
And that's what I hate too. And I think, I'm so glad to meet. And I think this year has taught me that there's a lot more anti-imperialist people than I thought I knew. Like, you, some of our classmates, some of the people I met. Because as an immigrant, I've always felt so alienated. I've always felt so alone. You know why I wrote Bernie Sanders in? Because in 1984, he was the only person to write letter after letter after letter to Carter and to Reagan talking about the destruction that was going on in El Salvador. That's, I mean, there's other stuff too, but it is so significant, but we don't even get acknowledgement of it, and even getting acknowledgement, and the people say there's a lot of infighting, and I understand, and like racial relationships are complex, but even sometimes, I like maybe she's fucking white, I don't know, but like the whole thing with Hillary Baldwin, it's just like sometimes my accent slips. Sometimes people have accused me of having a fake accent. Sometimes people don't really know what, the imperialism and stuff, or like China being imperialist. Or, I mean, I have to look more into it because there's the Belt and Roads approach, which is good, but I've seen them do, shady deals, putting dams in Honduras where all these Lenca environmentalists keep getting murdered.
oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean the company is not solely Chinese. The Honduran government owns it too. I mean the Honduran government's a piece of shit. Like if China wasn't involved, these Lanka people will still be getting murdered.
Well, I
But
think it wasn't it like the coup in Honduras happened when Hillary Clinton was head of Secretary of State here in the U.S., and she was all like for that. Same with like the UN intervention in NATO, which like that was, I think, one of the most prosperous countries on the whole African continent. Now they literally have like open air slave markets in that country now because of the U.S. and NATO involvement. And then yeah, it's like you're not an actual leftist, you're not progressive in any way if you're not an anti-imperialist. And it seems like, yeah, almost all members in Congress completely for imperialism, and unfortunately that seems to extend to the squad as well, which is,
yeah,
yeah.
now that it's popular to acknowledge Bolivia, I want everyone from to look at the tweets from 2019 and show me who called out Bolivia, and then it was only Bernie Sanders, and kind of weakly to actually say it, but he's like, there might have been a fucking coup in Bolivia, but he was the only one. Jeremy Carvin too. Jeremy Carvin is such a homie. He is awesome, and I'm tired of this like smear campaign of him being an anti-Semite. Like there was
Yeah.
nothing found. Being anti-Zionist is not being an anti-Semite.
Yep.
Like I'm really happy that Israel has managed to vaccinate most of its population, but it's also, fucked up that they're not vaccinating Palestinians,
Mhm.
even if they vaccinate people living in Palestine, where, in their territory occupied by Israeli settlers, they'll give them vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
I was someone saying that it was even worse than the Africa apartheid, and that's saying something. I mean, like again, I have to look into that, but it's just yeah. So Jeremy Corbyn really supported Evo Morales, and for me, because I get so angry about El Salvador, but the one that I think about the most is Salvador Allende. Like it makes me want to cry. Salvador Allende, those years of fucking what was this, Pinochet and stuff like
Pinochet, yeah, Augusto Pinochet.
that. Like Chile was the neoliberal guinea pig. That's where
Yep, exactly. The Chicago boys from like the Chicago University of Chicago, they all went down there and implemented that, yeah, neoliberalism. And like you said, it was the kind of guinea pig and testing ground for that.
yeah, and and the protest recently was because of that, because they were gonna hurt all these people, and Salvador Allende was democratically elected. It was people were happy, and again, it's
Mm-hmm.
just taking the decision of the people and doing that. And I was gonna laugh when you said like the Honduras scoop, and I was gonna be like, which one? Right.
Yeah.
So I'm in this leftist reading group, and I'm really excited. We're gonna read this book that I just got. It's called "The Revolution Question: Feminism in El Salvador, Chile, and Cuba" by Julie D. Shane. And yeah, kind of really excited to investigate more of that stuff. Trying to get some of that neoliberal reading.
Awesome.
Also, even though my friend told me the first 20 pages are missing and I should find out where, but I've been dying to read this book. It's The Revolution Will Be Not Funded Beyond the Non-Profit Industrial Complex. I still haven't finished this video, but yeah, like my next video is like again about neoliberalism and sort of like how it contradicts the nature of social work. Think about it. When you go to a doctor,
Mm-hmm.
like or when you are in social work and healthcare neoliberalism, it's not the quality of like, well, that person had great quality care, or well, the welfare of that person, like their, emotional and physical and social well-being, it's so good now. No, that's not what measured. What's measured is the bottom line. What's measured is how much money you can save. What's
Yep.
measured is how much you can exploit your employees. And if you're privatizing human services and health, like you should really take a hard look at yourself, buddy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think like even during this pandemic, we couldn't really get politicians to fight for Medicare for all, and it just really shows how much of a failed state the U.S. is unless you're part of the capitalist class and everything's working as it should be. But the working people are really suffering right now, and obviously, especially people of color, other vulnerable and marginalized groups. And yeah, it's just like what kind of change is actually possible within this type of like system. Is it even like possible? Or from my opinion, I think it needs to be kind of burnt to the ground and we build it back up
Mine
from
too.
the ashes.
Mine too. But like I said, I always kind of do get very shy about it. But I don't know about your. Oh yeah, you told me your class was canceled, but my class yesterday. So they're like, "What's a fun fact?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know if it's a fun fact, but it's a fact that kind of informs all of my social work." But I'm like, I'm social justice oriented and influenced by Karl Marx, and I think that's my cat. But that's such an important identity about me. I wasn't hearing things, but yeah, that's such a. So I agree with you. I think it needs to be burned to the ground. Like I said,
Mhm.
if these reforms, like quote unquote, let's say we pass a better sort of Medicare, or like we just have these half measures, guess what? 4 years later, someone worse than Trump, someone worse than Mitch McConnell, some of like these people who attacked the Capitol, these were
Mhm.
young people. These could be the rise up and coming Republicans. In
Yeah.
4 months, they might even be like no healthcare at all. So exactly, it just can't be reforms. It has to be rooted out and codified into law. It should universal healthcare should be codified and respected like the Constitution. The Constitution doesn't deserve that. A document providing universal healthcare, yes, yes, it does.
Yeah, and a vast majority of people support it, especially Democrats, and overall a majority of people want it, but because we have money in politics and both parties are bought and paid for by those same, health insurance companies and pharmaceutical industries, we don't really have very many, if anybody, fighting for it. And the whole kind of force the vote thing was to get members of the House, so-called the squad or progressive members, to not vote for Nancy Pelosi unless she guaranteed that she would bring Medicare for all to the floor for a vote. I mean, it seems like a small ask, but none of them actually were willing to do that. They all ended up stepping in line and voting for her. And um, it's like, really? I mean, Nancy Pelosi is horrible. Like, her reasoning for not wanting to impeach George W. Bush, even though she knew he lied about the Iraq War and all the stuff and torture and everything, she didn't want to set a bad precedent because Bill Clinton had been impeached previously. I mean, that's
I mean, it
but
was definitely a satirical political movement. That is one that I resent her a lot. I think that was really fucking shit. I feel like I always, despite like burn it all to the ground, I don't give a fuck about anyone. I always feel like a Nancy Pelosi apologist, but I think my big thing about that is just like when you have one big scapegoat, you also let the other insidious little people also worm their way in there. And I guess like yeah, I guess it would have been nice. It would have been great to actually show that solidarity. But again, it's like Biden promising he cares about immigrants and then him saying like they won, still in cages, bitches.
mhm.
I mean, like one thing that the amount of violence that happened at the Capitol yesterday is what worried me, but not about them overturning the election. I don't give a fuck. Go ahead, or whatever. Or maybe overturn the Democratic nominee and then let Bernie Sanders win. Like, I'm not fighting for, these other cryptic fucking fascists.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just really, yeah, just how messed up things are here in the United States. And I mean, at least, yeah, those people are willing to, yeah. Well, I would say one thing, they didn't want to get like caught and prosecuted after. They should at least been like wearing masks at that point. I know that kind of goes against their whole ideology of being Trumpist, and how the virus is just
I
a
mean, Trump,
China hoax and all that stuff. But at
Trump
least wear a mask so you're not it's going to be harder to for law enforcement to identify you after. That seemed kind of silly.
I know. No, my joke was gonna be I'm like my in my because I love to make jokes too for the sadness, but I would be like, you guys need a Vanguard party or something. It's like,
Yeah.
where's your logistics? You guys all talked about it, but then you just show up and you're like, you do this, dude. You make sure you take out this. I'm like, dude, like, okay, this one promise to cut out because I don't think you'll even be able to put it on YouTube. But I'm sorry, even those fucking school shooters have managed to do a better plan than these people.
Yeah. Wasn't very well coordinated or thought out. It just seemed like a very like in the moment, spur of the moment, like cathartic thing. Like, we're really pissed off. We don't really know where to direct it. Trump saying, the election was stolen, so let's go stop them from doing the electoral college counting thing. And which is like, that's hugely undemocratic too. And I saw one Senator Ed Markey, was saying we need to abolish the electoral college, which I completely support. It should just be on the
Like,
popular vote, because like 2016, Hillary actually got more votes than Trump, but because of electoral college and where the votes were, she won. Same thing with Gore in 2000. Imagine, because that election was actually stolen from Gore by the Supreme Court. It's like, imagine if people, self-described liberals or Democrats, had tried to storm the Capitol then about that. Maybe we wouldn't have the Electoral College, right now. I mean, it's like, at least these people were willing to, I don't know, be complete idiots and follow through with their anger and rage, but we don't really have any type of
Okay,
cohesion on the left to do something similar to actually,
I think that's.
improve the conditions of people's lives.
I think we might again. Yeah, it's also this morality thing, and going back to progressive and liberals, still stuck on that Trotsky thing. But again, like what people think, like, oh, it shouldn't be violent or blah blah blah, or it wouldn't be morally right. What's morally right currently has been imposed on you by Christian values, but most especially by the ruling class.
Yep.
Don't steal. Stealing is inherently bad. Don't steal even if you go hungry. Being hungry is inherently bad, but don't steal because stealing is even more inherently bad, even though you'll
Mhm.
die. Like what the fuck? So that's not okay. I feel like I'm like, damn it, we should have done that first. But I feel like, with leftists, the police do enjoy pummeling their faces and,
Yep.
I see more violence at Cal Anderson and stuff like that. And but now I'm thinking about like maybe a Trojan horse. Like we all like everyone's like one big block, but we all pretend we're like right wing, but in the middle we're all just like leftists, and then we just let the other ones take the brunt of the fight while we just you know actually have a plan. Like actually have good leverage. Just don't distract. I don't know, grab someone's notebook, grab someone's computer. Are you fucking kidding me? That's the first thing I would do.
Hmm.
You grab something like that. Um, what I would do in a video game though, not in real life. I'm a writer, and okay.
Yeah, it would be interesting to, like, the people that were part of that insurrection or coup attempt yesterday, to see, like, are they actually part of the working class, or are they more like kind of well off upper middle class, maybe
And that's the
small
thing.
business owners? Because I did see the one guy who took a picture in the office of like Nancy Pelosi. He owns some type of business because he got one of those like paycheck protection PPP loans or whatever that was. And like, how are you going to be able to, go to the Capitol probably for a couple days, stay in a hotel,
Yeah,
have the money to do that? So I would be kind of curious, like, are these people of the working class, or are they more kind of higher
yeah.
income bracket?
So gun ownership, I like to joke, actually is not divided by liberal or conservative. It's divided between rich and poor.
Yeah.
Guns are expensive. Guns are extremely expensive. Usually, the person who has a gun, whatever they are, even in the South or whatever, they're probably the wealthiest person around. Even in Seattle, any fucking like mega millionaire, sure, they might be like, shucks, I'm gonna go put my recycling over here. But they might still might have a fucking gun, you
Mhm.
know, because they can afford it and they're like paranoid. So, and that's the thing too, like I feel like that disenfranchisement of like white people and or working white people is intense, and they're kind of like the piece that we need, that or not that we need, but part of the struggle,
Yep.
because they're with us but they think they're with them, but
Yep.
there's a bunch of this like other people who are not that, who they're giant, or the people who like um trap the Biden buzz. Like I give a fuck, but with the Trump trucks, those trucks are gaslights.
Yep. And
Trucks are
expensive.
expensive. So yeah, so some of them I personally don't like state violence either. But also if it's a Nazi getting punched, I'm just
It's
like,
not as bad. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
okay with
like I
that.
don't know, all of them were white supremacists, but white supremacists just because of the belief that I shouldn't exist or someone else shouldn't exist, and that they will kill us at whatever chance they get.
Hmm.
That's where I'm like, maybe not, maybe not too.
Yeah, and as like the working class in the US, be it, white or otherwise, continues to get, left behind, this anger, this rage, if not if we don't societally address, the material conditions that people are facing right now, which, are immense, this white supremacy, this
Yeah.
fascism, this right-wing reactionary movements are just going to continue to grow and swell. And like I said earlier, I think seeing things that like we saw at the Capitol yesterday are only going to intensify, get more frequent, get more well thought out and planned. I guess
Yeah,
like some of the people there had like little zip ties for handcuffs and maybe some like little maybe bomb devices or something like that. It's like, I
yeah,
mean, if they had been smart, like they could have really messed some stuff up, frankly.
yeah, no, and there's like all throughout the year, like they like, that's another thing that maybe I feel like I've forgotten because it's so long ago, but Trump targeted that Michigan governor so much that they were gonna kidnap her. So
Yep.
it's not the first time. They've been storming capitals. And I think sometimes that's the other thing. Like people are like, oh, I don't want to look at right wing stuff. And like I don't like looking at right wing stuff either, but I don't know, like you have to know your enemy to be
Yep.
able to defeat your enemy. So and if I can do it, and if not everyone can do it, that's fine. But if
Hmm.
I can do it, so I'll do it. So someone else doesn't have to do it because I just today I feel like this means 100% increase in self-defense and safety, and I think that's gonna be kind of my goal for 2021 when it comes to leftism.
Yep.
Also to call out misogyny, feminism 2021.
Yeah, no, I feel the same. I feel like this kind of what's been going on, yeah, has definitely made me more amenable to getting a gun and figuring out how to use that safely to protect
Yeah,
myself, my family, other comrades that need it, because it's clear like when push comes to shove, like the state, whether it be police or otherwise, they're never going to be on the right side of history or social movements. Just look at yesterday. I mean, that's a prime example. Or um let's see. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen real quick because I have this. I just found this video from people with guns outside the governor's mansion in Washington State. Here we
yeah,
go.
show me that because I haven't even looked at Olympia. I
Right,
haven't
this one.
the heart yet, but I need to look at it and I need to text my friend. One of our professors lives in Olympia too, and he's a fucking sweetie.
Oh, really?
Dr. Wilson.
Oh,
See?
okay. I remember.
Excuse me, sir. What do you think of boomers? What do you think of boomers?
He's got his gun.
They're not on the same side. They're trying to fucking stop us. Fuck boomers. They signed NAFTA. They allowed Mexicans to come here en masse. They allowed the 60s and 70s immigration control to allow
Jesus.
everyone to come in here. They made it. They hog buildings. They hog houses. They hog boats. They're fucking greedy pieces of shit. Fuck boomers. One bullet for every fucking boomer. Get in the pillow, motherfucker.
Jesus.
Well, if they listen, we have the boomer hate.
Yeah. Look at these people like in camo and everything.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know if you become part of WOFC working with DCIYF, you'll be part of the union. A day that I fucking love is Lobby Day. But when I went during Lobby
Oh, yeah.
Day, it was this guy with like a fucking megaphone going all the time like guns, guns, guns. The Capitol can get really, really gnar. But
Yeah.
yeah, look at them. Look like, and they're also so dumb. I'm like, you're wasting time. You're like, fuck boomers, fuck boomers. And all of that you can do. Someone could have, took like someone else's gun and just like smashed your face with like the butt or something.
Hmm.
So, I don't know. Everything that I learned, and and again, to me, morality is just not ambiguous, but shifting thing depending on the thing. But every skill that I learned, whether it be cryptography or being able to decode things or be able to set things up or anything,
Hmm.
just do it to protect my friends and my comrades. And there's nothing wrong with that because that's no one else is going to protect us. The government is. This right wing fascists are crazy. Even people even think sometimes it's like, oh, I'm white. It's like doesn't matter. The Nazis put political prisoners in.
Yeah, they went after the communists, the socialists.
I actually have this. I also got my book back. It's called The Prank Triangle. about LGBT folks during the imprisonment. It's not, but yeah, the triangles. I don't know if you can see.
Yep. Yeah, they symbolize different things. That's how they classified the people in like the concentration camps, huh?
So red is political, which makes sense. Red's like communist.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. When I was organizing back in the summer, I was really frustrated and burnt out by these kids because they're like, "It's not a big deal," you know. I'm like, "It is a big deal. It doesn't matter if you're, white as snow. These people, they'll attack people for being gay. They'll
Yep.
attack you for being, another video I want to make and look more into is those crazy trad wives, the traditional wives that are just like, you gotta let your man yell at you. That's how you'll have the perfect marriage.
Oh, is that what trad means? Traditional? I've heard that word before, but I never. Okay.
I'm gonna look up the videos, but apparently Ben Shapiro's sister is a big trad wife. She makes videos
Okay.
about how and if this other documentary, if I can find it, I'll send it to you. It's called Trump's Housewives, and this lady has like apparently this huge YouTube channel teaching ladies how to behave around men. And it's about this woman who made a mistake, and her boss starts like berating her. So she's like, "Hey, you can't talk to me like that because of course not. Why would you be able to talk to her like that?" But then the lady's like, "No, no, you just apologize and be soft and he'll calm down." No, this is shit. That's maybe my research.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like that anger that rage that young guy was like feeling like, yes, be pissed off, be upset. It's not the fault of the immigrants or the boomers, it's the fault of the ruling class, the capitalists. Like it's just so like misdirected. But again, if people's material conditions aren't being improved or addressed, like that anger, that rage is just going to keep getting worse. And then oh yeah, I have this another short little clip I can share. This guy at the Capitol yesterday, raging against the communists in China. That's who's causing all the issues right now.
No!
Oops, that's
To the
very.
people of Venezuela, no, you can take your country back too. We are setting the example. We are setting the bar.
Oh, my friend sent me a picture of this, and my friend's actually Scottish, and I'm just like, is this American Braveheart?
Yeah.
You too can take back your nation from this evil. You can win your country back, Venezuela.
Have you heard of BitChute?
What's that?
Have you heard of BitChute, like the YouTube? That's where all the white supremacists go after they get kicked off YouTube.
It's called BitShare.
BitChute.
BitChute.
I'll send it to you.
Okay.
It's pretty gnar. My
God,
computer.
I wish Biden was some radical communist or socialist or anarchist or an Antifa sympathizer, like, the Republicans and conservatives like to paint him as being, that's how like
Yeah,
disconnected from reality these people are.
I,
Biden's right wing himself for God's sakes.
yeah. Biden wants to increase the fucking military spending. Hey, Trump wanted to pull out the troops, so that's doing.
That was actually one good thing if he had fallen through with that. And then at certain points, he's wanted to de escalate tensions with DPRK, which is inherently a good thing. Like both Koreas should be, united. And yeah, it's like that's kind of this one book I've read kind of refers to the Korean War as like the forgotten war. We don't really talk or think about that much or really get taught about it and how I think, yeah, just how destructive that was for that country to, because we wanted to stop the spread of, communism. It's like, oh, yeah,
You deeply divided a nation and painfully so. It's the same idea with Ireland. People, are so they'll be like, "Oh, England, the troubles cause so much danger," and now with Brexit, it could be so close for sectarian violence again because of all the border problems. But they don't care. No one thinks about it. Like if you ask some person just on the street, they're like, "Why is there a South and North Korea?" And they might be able to say the Korean War, but
hmm
then be like, why?
why? Yeah.
But on good news, our buddy Assange, fuck the United States yet.
Oh,
Trying to
Assange.
kill. Yeah,
Yeah.
a small respite.
Yeah. No, that was one good thing. But then the judge ruled that he couldn't be let out
Like
on
I
bail
said,
because
I
she
said,
was
I was
so
like, what a fucking bitch. I was just like, what? Okay, whatever. You did nothing right then.
Yeah, and I mean, like, she basically went along with, the U.S. government's case, just beside, well, I don't support extraditing him because he would probably end up committing suicide in the prison system in the U.S. because it's so dehumanizing and messed up. But I mean, look at the price that Julian Assange has paid, and WikiLeaks more broadly for exposing the crimes of the U.S. empire. I mean, they they're going after him with everything they got, but the people that committed those war crimes, the people that got us into the Iraq war and all these other military entanglements, like nothing's happened to them, and like that's a real.
They're playing golf somewhere or something. They're playing golf. They don't. Nothing happens, and that's the thing too. It's just not America. Like Assange reveal, like other imperialist nations like England, like
Yep.
Australia, like I think they're called the Big Five: Canada, New Zealand, Australia, UK, and the US, which they share a huge amount of, like, as we were talking about the 5G, but really just a huge amount of internet work and spying. They have a contract so that they can all spy on
Yep.
these 5 countries, regions,
Yeah.
and so no wonder that the judge is just going to be another like bootlicker because the British government, they want him too.
Yeah, no, and they're completely beholden to the US empire and willing to do
Yeah,
their bidding. And that was clearly evident through the whole, Assange trial and everything. And somebody made the point that this judge, I think her name's like Vanessa Barratz or something like that, was basically didn't want his death on her conscience. So she just kind of punted it to the higher court, which is made up of like this 3 judge panel, which will hear the appeal because, of course, the US, empire is going to appeal it because they want to make sure Assange gets to the US so he doesn't get out of jail, so he's not able to publish more things that are in the public's interest, and just like set an example of like you go after the US empire, like we're going to go after you, we're going to make your life like a living hell.
but why did Snowden get Russia to take him, but not Assange?
um I mean, there's like countries right now. I heard AMLO, the president of Mexico, said that he would give asylum, Julian Assange asylum in Mexico, and there's probably other ones. I bet Cuba
Cuba,
probably
Cuba
would, or
definitely would.
Nicaragua.
Hey, the lady who killed that uh, statement or whatever, who I think is related to Tupac, she's still living her best life in Cuba, and I'm just like, that's the dream.
Yeah, no, I would. Yeah, if I could convince my partner and child to move to a different country, like I would at probably the drop of a hat, frankly. And I was like, maybe Cuba or Nicaragua, or yeah, somewhere that's has a socialist government that actually fights for the working people. And I mean, I even saw Denmark and their government so much for being a social democracy, but they gave the NSA access to mass surveillance everybody in that
Yeah,
country along with their neighbors. So it's like
yeah.
those social democracies aren't really all that they're cracked up to be. Frankly, they have a good maybe social welfare system, but they're still engaged in
Yeah,
exploitation and imperialism and being
yeah,
beholden to the U.S. empire. Like you can't say the same thing about Cuba or Nicaragua or Venezuela or Bolivia now that the socialists are back in power there.
yeah. It was the entire Bolivia coup d'etat. Again, fuck Elon Musk for even just joking about that. I get so angry. Did I tell you? Yeah, that what my revenge would be just to put him in like a thing and just have liquid lithium pour into him, like hot liquid lithium, as his skin like falls off and he suffocates.
Oh, that would be some form of payback, I think. Yeah.
But I'm really happy. This guy, Luis, I need to learn more about him. But he seems like he really cares. He's talking about
Oh
COVID,
yeah.
how they're using you know Western medicine or modern medicine, but also traditional medicine because you can use both. I mean, Cuba does this, and Cubans and doctors have traveled all over the world in 2020 helping
Yeah.
other countries. Like
Yeah.
some people suggested that they should get the Nobel Peace Prize, and I
Mhm.
definitely agree. Like another neoliberal prize, but they fucking should get it because if they've done that, and then that's the other thing too. Cuba takes the best of both worlds. It's not just on profit, or it's just not on like look, like you can, let's say someone maybe their antidepressant could work a little bit better if they had more shrooms. You can have both, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so they do this thing where and it's respectful, but no, here's just hegemony. It has to follow the white Protestant pull yourself by your bootstraps, Ben. That is the only thing. Like America is so bad that it's almost a cruel enjoyment to see people like suffer. Like, look, Canada is also like a fucking neoliberal shithole, but
Yep. Yeah, they supported the coup in Bolivia as well.
but um, I don't think you could get you. I don't think you would expect as much labor abuse as you do in the United States.
I
Labor
mean,
abuse.
at least, yeah, at least they have universal health care. And I think people in Canada during the pandemic have been getting around like $1,500 or $2,000 a month for the duration. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like the
There's
US is just so like regressive, and like you're saying, just has this whole pull yourself pull yourselves up by the bootstraps mentality. And it's all your fault. It's never the systemic failures. It's always like on the person, which is just twisted.
Yeah, and like it falls especially in social workers. Like Trump has a coup d'etat, and the state will tell you that they'll jail you if you like print too much stuff at the state office.
Yeah, no, I know. I was for my practicum, because I'm in the CTAP program, I was talking to a social worker yesterday, and they were saying that the state isn't implementing like the yearly raise this year, and they even tried to make the workers have to pay for more of their health care. I think the state pays for like 85% now, and the workers 15, and they were trying to like lessen that. So it's like, oh, can we just not maybe install an income tax? Like Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos, two extremely wealthy people, live in Washington State. I think that could fund like that stuff and a lot of other things that would improve the lives of Washingtonians, you know?
I mean, there's so many people in my mind that I hate so much, but I also never forget how much I also fucking hate Inslee because it's true. They get all the pat in the back. Durkin gets the pat in the back. All these people, who's doing the worker, social workers. No one talks about social workers as being frontline workers.
Mm-hmm.
What do you
Yeah.
think that one of the hardest jobs pre-pandemic was being a discharge social worker? You're coming up with a discharge plan. They were always assholes because they were always so stressed. Can you
Mm-hmm.
imagine discharge, which also includes finding nursing homes during a pandemic?
Yeah.
Often do you hear people talk about social workers as like front heroes or whatever?
Not very often, if at all.
Yeah, and then the state does that. Oh, and there's this really insidious company called Freedom Foundation that even sued to try to get government workers' address be legal, be
Really?
less to be yeah to dox them. Yeah,
That's
that
creepy.
made me super mad because I have so many friends that work for the state, and like the state isn't perfect, but the people that work there like are trying their best and they do it because they believe it, and these people just for their ideology wants to like put their life in danger, make sure that to make them as miserable as possible.
I mean, yeah, if anything, like people working for the state, whether it be social workers or otherwise, people who've been having to work during the pandemic, they should have been seeing like pay raises, not like cutting off their yearly salary increase. It's like, what? How is that possible? But again, our society, rewards capitalists, and like the working class just has to kind of get by on the crumbs, if that, unfortunately.
I feel like this is a controversial opinion, especially because of COVID, but if every healthcare worker decided to strike, I would
Yeah,
100% support it.
I
I
bet
would.
we could get Medicare for all pretty quick.
We could get Medicare for all. We can get it like better, more ships for them. We can get like again. China has its own authoritarian problems, but they built a fucking hospital in like 14 days. China is still not the number one economy. I think we still are. We are ridiculously wealthy. This is disgusting. I honestly, I'm still repressing 2020 and 2021. I think I'm
I
gonna
know it's already the new year and already crazy shit's happening
like,
still.
yeah. Oh my God, did you see the Bean Dad story?
Uh, Briefly, something about some guy didn't want to
I
explain
was
to his
like,
kid how to open a can of beans or something, right?
yeah, no, she struggled for 6 hours and
That's ridiculous.
he just watched her.
Yeah.
And and I think he has this weird like thing about being a survivalist, but he says it also turns out that he's from Seattle,
Yeah.
a failed city council run and an anti-Semite. Checks out.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and something else that kind of the stuff yesterday at the Capitol made me think about is how this will probably lead to more surveillance and control from the state, and how that will always be weaponized against people on the left, whether it's, Black Lives Matter movement people, or people fighting, for labor rights, or people wanting to organize, a general strike or
I
anything like.
don't make it a big deal when they do this right wing groups, even though they're more dangerous, because they don't want to give the impression that they're more dangerous, even if they are. They want the danger all to be like, be a part of,
Antifa.
yeah, Antifa. I wouldn't be surprised if someone already had tried to turn this into like crazy Antifa storms. You know.
I think that's actually, I did hear that yesterday. Some of the Trump people were trying to say it was just Antifa like infiltrating the movement. That's who was causing the ruckus yesterday. It wasn't the MAGA blowhards. It was, yeah, Antifa infiltrators. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I think it probably will end up being weaponized and used for more surveillance, more control, more curtailing of people's rights and everything. And again, whenever that happens, it's always disproportionately used on people on the left.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's kind of like what happened after, 9/11, unfortunately.
No, yeah, like people on the left, like all the time, like be a proud socialist, but also be really careful because and that's why I think why, yeah, socialists are such a, we're so close knit because we know it's so dangerous. Even though what we want is best for everyone,
Yeah.
sometimes people are like, this person's a socialist, but they seem like they were so nice. I'm like, dude, most socialists I know are fucking nice. You have to be nice. You just want people to be okay. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know what else is there.
It's the capitalists that are the assholes and only care about, themselves, and, exploiting the workers to increase their money and prestige and power and stuff.
Yeah.
um yeah, it's always nice chatting. Maybe we should end with some, I don't know, positive things, or some things that we're thankful for, maybe some things that we, like to try to work on, like in the future or something.
I'm telling myself that today I'm gonna finish that video, and
Okay.
I know that you usually are more of the outdoorsy one, but today I actually decided to, especially because of yesterday, I'm like, the world might be ending. Just get out of the apartment for once. So I texted an old friend, and I was just like, hey, today's one of the few days that since it doesn't want to rain,
Yeah.
roller skating, and I haven't roller skated in over a year. So we went to Judkins Park and we roller skated, and it was so much fun. I'll send you a video. So roller skating, I got all a bunch of books that I'm excited to read, and that's what I'm gonna do. And kind of like what I, especially in 2021, again, things get more dangerous. I am hoping to my real goal is like instead of to break out, to channel this into just getting smarter, stronger, and better, just to be
Hmm.
prepared for things. But yeah, I love this. It's been great. I really, and I think it's a lot of fun. It's really cool. I think again, like social workers, that's the thing too, or like people have said, like, if we want more people to rally with us, we have to do outreach, we have to communicate, we have to do
Yep.
all these things. These things aren't just for attention. People
Hmm.
are like, oh, you're just making YouTube videos. I'm like, yeah, but part of my making YouTube videos is try to explain this, is try to show people that things don't see it. Anyway, but sorry, but it's so far I really like that, and yeah, we've been doing good. One every week. I wouldn't be able to do that without you, because my brain's like blah. How about you? What's something that you did today that was good, or that you're looking forward to?
Like went on a bike ride because yeah, like you're saying, it wasn't raining yesterday, wasn't raining today, so got a bike ride in today, which is just always nice. I just feel a lot better when I'm able to get outside, breathe fresh air, just yeah, not even have the ear pods in for most of it, and just finding ways to engage in like self-care is just like super important with all the crazy stuff going around. And that's why we need fully automated luxury communism for all, so everybody will have the free time and the means to pursue things that bring them joy and happiness into their life. And unfortunately we're very far away from that as a society, and globally, but especially here in the US. So always thankful for that. And yeah, I definitely, yeah, want to. One of my friends, he's definitely quite a bit different than me, like politically. Like he has like a "Don't Tread on Me" like tattoo and everything. But I've known him since like childhood, and he's pretty knowledgeable about like guns and stuff. And he said he would go to the gun shop with me to help figure out what I would need and want and stuff. So kind of excited about that. And then
That's good.
yeah, just finding ways to like you're saying, engage in more outreach and connections, especially with people that aren't maybe
Yeah.
necessarily on the same page like politically, I think is important. And finding ways to go about doing that. And one of the things that Huey P. Newton wrote about in that revolutionary suicide book, which is more or less his autobiography, was how he never talked down to people. If he wanted to engage with somebody, it was always in a very kind of respectful and humble way,
Yeah.
and just kind of wanting to embody that. Obviously, it's a little different if you're engaging with like a Nazi or something
Yeah.
like that, then you
There's
punch them in
different
the
things.
face. But
Like, you can answer people's questions. Like, we weren't all born knowing it. As much as I like to pretend I was born a socialist, no
yeah,
one was. So
exactly.
we all learn, and even what we know now, we still learn, because, historical dialectalism is basically when things change us, you have to learn, and just learn, because you want to always be the best of what you can have.
Yeah, I definitely want to keep reading more, because it's can be easy just to like doom scroll on Twitter or Facebook or whatever. But it's like, yeah, you only get so much out of that. But it's like you get so much out of reading books and getting away from those electronic
Yeah.
hallucinations. So
Yeah, I mean, for me, I want to use more social media this year, but not for the doom scrolling. I feel like I wasn't as connected, but I definitely want to use more social media in a positive way, and
yeah.
just try to see how my friends are. But no, I agree. Like, I'm kind of happy I haven't the book, because, like, right now I know all the news is gonna be about that, and I don't want to watch it. I
Yeah.
have a couple of newspapers. I'm really excited. So
Yeah.
yeah, I hope everyone, if you're watching, not watching, whoever is watching, like.
Somebody will watch. I know they get some
Somebody will
views.
watch. Oh, hello. Read a book too, or it doesn't have to be read a book, or just distract your mind. Put something.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know, if you think of anybody else like in the program that might be interested, we could always invite others to jump on and share their thoughts and get their perspectives too. But I feel like some of the people in the program are definitely
Yeah.
more like centrist
Yeah.
than we are, I think. But I know there are some more, radical classmates as well.
Oh, sometimes you can even make more radical. I don't know. I thought about sharing like the video to the page. I just wanted to ask you, because I didn't want to like do
Yeah,
it
go
asking you.
for it. Sure.
Okay, cool. And also have my friend Oscar. He is awesome and really into talking about labor, and he
Okay.
does a lot of media stuff. I'll show him our stuff, and I bet he would love, like, and he's really good at all the stuff. But otherwise, it's nice, especially because sometimes they'll be able to think of something. I'm like, I didn't think about that before.
Yeah. No, that would be cool to get Oscar on. And yeah, if we post it on the social work forum and other people want to jump on, that would be really cool too.
Yeah. Or even if they just want to watch it, like watch it while you do your homework or something. All right.
Yeah.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.